Okay, I'm not going to be recording for too long here, maybe 2 minutes, just the time to be this policeman, since you can only fight them at night. And remember those policemen on Route 212 that all used a hoot-hoot and a chop? Well, this one uses a noctal and a choke! Hooray for diversity! Well, it only makes sense that I'm dealing with evolved forms now, but would it have hurt to give him something else than all these other policemen? I mean, it's getting boring after a while. But what is certainly not boring is that, wow, you guys are nuts! You were a lot, and I mean a lot, to wish me happy birthday, and dear Lord, I got so many happy birthday wishes that I managed to get into the top 100 in Canada for the videos that were the most commented on. I think I even got as high as number 58 at one point, all through the power of happy birthday wishes. Can we pretend it's my birthday every day? Then I'd become famous because I'd get like so many comments and people would wonder what's the big deal. And no, on second thought, I don't want to be that famous. I fear the consequences. Anyway, I'm going to pass up on extrasensory because, well, psychic is just better. Anyway, that's going to be all for today, so I'm going to complete this video, I guess, tomorrow, I suppose. Okay, we're doing good. We're going to finish Route 222 today and hopefully enter Sunny Shore. And we got a few more trainers to fight and a few more items to grab before getting there. So grab a seat because we still have several minutes of battling ahead of us. So in the meantime, I'd like to rant about a subject that's got many people that I know of rather annoyed. And just because I think we need a disclaimer right now, I do not hate Bulbagarden, okay? It seems like every time I talk about them, it's for the wrong reasons, but seriously, it's really one of the best sites out there. It's just a sad series of coincidences, if you ask me. And yeah, if you've never checked it out, I strongly recommend you do, because they've got a lot of stuff that no other site has. But with that in mind, I would also... the subject actually is something that they don't have that every other site does have. And those of you who are in the know probably know what I'm talking about. English Pokémon names. That's right. Everywhere else on the internet, wherever you look, it's always the English names that you'll find, even if they have no official source yet. But Cerebi clearly has an agreement of sorts with Nintendo, which means that he was allowed to reveal the names. So, yeah, I would ask, is that not good enough? But the thing is that no, it's not good enough for Bulbagarden, because they need official sources in order to actually change the names to the English ones. And, well, they believe it's because it's more professional. Well, from a certain standpoint, I could understand them. However, well, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's an insult to Cerebi, because, well, Cerebi himself isn't an official source, though at the same time, it's no secret that the competition between Pokemon fan sites is very, very fierce, and that there's a lot of genuine hatred between the staffs of certain sites. I could mention last summer's Victini Gate, where Bulbagarden themselves lost a few feathers in a failed PR operation, but that's not what I'm trying to say. The thing is that they refuse to acknowledge the English names in any sort of way. And where this becomes a problem especially is when you try looking for Pokemon pages on Bulbapedia. Because not only do you need to know which Pokemon have been officially localized and which haven't, but for those that haven't, you also need to know exactly how they spell the name of that particular Pokemon in Japanese. There are several... Oh, whoops! I think I made a mistake there. I forgot to bring back Giratina in the lead. I'm going to take care of that as soon as that Electabuzz is there. Sorry for cutting it abruptly, but just wanted to bring that up. Anyways, I was about to say there are plenty of Pokemon out there that can have their Japanese names spelled in so many different ways. It's incredible. For example, let's take Basculin. It hasn't been localized yet to my knowledge, and there are so many ways to type Basurao. There's Basurao with one S, Basurao with two S's, Baslao with one S, Baslao with two S's, and probably many more that I'm not even aware of. So trying to find one of these pages through the search option would be one giant clusterfuck. Now, there would have been one thing that I think they at least should have done to make things a little easier for their visitors, and it doesn't even involve actually translating the names. It's, for example, coming back to my Basculin example, if you type Basculin in the search box, then you're automatically sent to the Basurao page. And that is something they should have done a long time ago, like when Cerebi confirmed that those leaked names were the actual English names. I'm not even asking them to officially acknowledge the names, just that we can get redirected to the pages without having to know which ones have been translated, which ones haven't been translated yet, or how to spell the damn Japanese names to begin with. So, in an ironic twist of fate, I think with the way they handled it, it's actually the polar opposite of professionalism. So, I want to hear what you think about it. Should they have acknowledged the English names as soon as they were leaked, or at least when Cerebi confirmed that they were the actual English names? Or do you prefer the way they're doing it right now, with that even though they don't want to post unconfirmed information, which is fine to a certain extent, but at the same time, as I said, it's very inconvenient when you want to search for a certain Pokemon and you don't even know which language to search in. Now, I've said it before in this video, but I'm going to repeat it again just so that everyone understands. This isn't an opportunity I was looking for to bash on Bulbagarden. I think it's a damn good site, despite the tangles I may have had with one of its staff members in the past. It's just that I just don't understand why they don't just do it. I think it would make a lot more people happy if they just did it than, maintaining the status quo until the game's release, which admittedly is going to be in 3 days in Europe, so the odds are all the names are going to be officially translated by then, but it's just the fact that they actually waited for so long that gets to me. And speaking of waiting for a long time, I got a comment on one of my old Red videos recently, but it's not that comment that I want to talk about. It's a comment that I got from someone else several months ago, but I never noticed it unless my attention was drawn to the comments section of that particular video. And in that video, I was wondering, for example, when you use a grass attack on a Tentacruel, it's super effective against water, but not very effective against poison, so in the end, it's a neutral hit. But in Generation 1, it actually displayed a message that was sometimes not very effective, sometimes super effective. And I was wondering whether it had to do with the fact that the Type 1 was water, Type 2 was poison, or was it something else entirely? Well, as it turns out, it is indeed something else entirely. Because the way the type chart was programmed in Generation 1, it wasn't a type chart per se, but it's rather a long series of subroutines where each subroutine corresponds to one particular type effectiveness. For example, grass being super effective against water. And in that list of subroutines, grass being super effective against water comes first, but after that, you see that grass is not very effective against poison, and the not very effective message overrides the super effective message from being super effective against water. And that list of subroutine, well, it's not really well organized, at least not at the beginning. It's like they just started programming the obvious ones, like for example, water works against fire, fire doesn't work against water, but then they realized, you know what, screw it, it's getting to be complicated, it's going to be too hard to balance, and after that it started being more organized, you know, type by type, and at the very end you can find everything that involves dragon. So it sort of gives some insight as to how the game was programmed in its infancy, because it makes it seem like Dragon was a last-minute addition, as well as the fact that there's only one dragon line in Generation 1, that being Dragonite, and that may also explain why Gyarados and Charizard aren't dragon types, because they had already balanced everything and they didn't want to go back and mess with it. That's just a theory, but if you want to see all the details, I'm gonna give you a link in the movie description so that you can see exactly where to go, what the order of each subroutine is. There's a mistake or two, and the author even acknowledged it later on in his write-up, but other than that, yeah, it should be fairly reliable if you want to know exactly what decides whether the message is going to display heal block. No thanks, it sucks. But if you want to know which type matchups will display not very effective and which ones will display super effective, then this is going to be the place for you. But just so you know, it always deals neutral damage. The message does not indicate how much damage it actually does. The game isn't glitched in that regard. It's actually neutral damage, even if you get a message. And would you look at that, I end this rant just in time for our grand entrance in Sunny Shore, which is the city of the last gym, but it also has a few other interesting things to check out that we're going to go to and cover before actually going to the gym. And we haven't taken one step into the city, rather, that this guy interrupts us. He is Flint of the Sinnoh Elite Four, and, okay, well, now he's making small talk, but the reason why he's coming to see me is because he's buddies with the gym leader of this town, who is called Volkner, the electric type leader, obviously. And yeah, the problem is that he's bored out of his skull because he's too good and there aren't good enough challengers to come and give him a good match. So basically that's what he's asking us to try to spark his passion once more, so that at least we can get the final badge and move on to the league. And just how bored is Volkner, you might ask? Well, he's so bored out of his skull that he started renovating the gym and putting gigantic, ginormous gears inside it in order to make a puzzle. And there are simply no words for how ridiculously bored someone needs to be to make that, because, well, you'll see when we get inside the gym. You're not gonna believe your eyes just what boredom can do to someone. But enough about that. We're going to go around Sunny Shore a bit, and you probably noticed the highlight of the city. Solar panels! Yeah, and those are solar panels you can walk on, too. I wonder how they're made, because I don't think solar panels are something that you can walk on without damaging them, but then again, I'm no expert when it comes to that kind of stuff. But let's just pretend that they're made specifically for walking on them, and yeah. Nintendo logic. Let's just put it in the Nintendo logic category and be done with it. So, yeah, heard about Victory Road? Yeah, because every region has their Victory Road before the Pokemon League, and they're always harsh and harrowing, indeed, except for the one in Gold, Silver, Crystal. That one was the worst Victory Road ever. What a sham! Anyway, we're gonna end off this video by checking out what they have to sell. No Dusk Balls, no Quick Balls, no Timer Balls. Pass! And the other clerk has all the basic items in there. So, with that done, we're going to keep the rest of our Sunny Shore exploration tour for a later date.